Members of the House of Representatives have expressed different views on Senator Ali Ndume's recent call for the deployment of United States troops to Nigeria amid worsening insecurity in the Northeast. Speaking on Friday as a guest on Channels Television's Politics Today, Ndume had endorsed the deployment of U.S. soldiers to Borno State to assist in combating insurgency and banditry. Speaking with The Punch, the chairman of the House Committee on Defense, Babajide Benson, emphasized the importance of understanding the role of the 200 U.S. troops currently in Nigeria. He said the issue is not additional or fewer numbers, but what role and capabilities they are bringing to support the armed forces of Nigeria. At present, he said they are focused on training and technology enablers that would enhance their capacities to defeat the adversary. Nigeria and Angola have signed a visa exemption agreement for holders of diplomatic and official service passports, according to a statement made by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson, Kimebi Ebenfa. The agreement was signed on Saturday on the sidelines of the 39th Ordinary Session of the Heads of State and Government of the African Union in Addis Ababa. The Nigerian delegation was led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, while Angola's delegation was headed by the Minister of International Relations, Ambassador Tete Antonio. Speaking at the signing ceremony, Tuga described the agreement as a long-awaited milestone that would deepen cooperation between the two countries. He said the signing was aimed at strengthening bilateral relations and easing official travel between both nations. He explained that the visa exemption would enable holders of diplomatic and official service passports to travel more freely between the two countries. A former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, has asked the Office of the National Security Advisor to clarify what he described as information available to opposition figures regarding the alleged procurement of a toxic chemical substance. In a letter dated January 30th, 2026, and addressed to the National Security Advisor in Abuja, El-Rufai said he was seeking clarification and reassurance over reports that the office planned to obtain thallium sulfate from abroad. He posted a copy of the letter on his official X handle on Sunday. The presidency, however, tackled the former governor, adding that he knew there was no government procurement or importation of thallium sulfate into Nigeria from Poland through the Office of the National Security Advisor. In a statement posted on X by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Temitope Ajayi, the presidency claimed that El-Rufai certainly got a reply to his letter from the NSA's office asking him to be honorable enough to release it, just as he mischievously released his letter. Some communities in the Ibejuleki local government area of Lagos State have raised concerns over an alleged fresh plan by the federal government to enforce a 150-meter setback on both sides of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, warning that the movement could wipe out long-established ancestral settlements. When Punch Metro visited the area on Thursday, community leaders said residents were living in fear and panic, adding that further demolitions could spark unrest among people who had already sacrificed homes and heritage sites for the project. While commending President Bola Tinubu for initiating what they described as a transformative and legacy project, the leaders alleged that repeated realignment of the corridor had led to the demolition of houses, shrines, and other ancestral landmarks across parts of the axis. They called on the Federal Ministry of Works and the Lagos State Government to clearly communicate the project alignment and setback provisions, urging authorities to engage affected communities and consider granting a waiver to existing settlements. The Kwara State Government and the Al-Sunnah terrorist group, which claimed responsibility for the February 3, 2026 attack in Woro and Nuku communities of Kayama local government area, have provided differing figures on the number of people kidnapped during the incident. While the Kwara government said that between 20 and 30 people were abducted in Woro, with several others killed, the group claimed it had taken not fewer than 176 individuals who remain in their custody. In a viral video circulated in the state on Saturday, Al-Sunnah paraded the kidnapped victims, stating that most were women and children from Kayama local government area. Responding to the video, Kwara State Commissioner for Communication, Mrs. Bolanle Olukoju, expressed concern for the safe return of the abducted victims. She said the Kwara State government is deeply concerned over the disturbing video released by the terrorists earlier today, allegedly showing some persons taken during the tragic February 3rd attack on Woro community. She added that they acknowledge the anxiety that this footage may cause. Government officials and security agencies are carefully analyzing the video to establish the identities of the individuals shown. Tension is rising in the nation's legislative arena as the two chambers of the National Assembly meet today to take a common position on the method of election result transmission from polling centers to the Independent National Electoral Commission's result portal. The 24-member committee, made up of 12 each from the Senate and House of Representatives, converge on NAS today to finalize their position on the controversial issue, which almost threw the chambers into chaos last week until the senators summoned an emergency meeting to assuage Nigerians with a slightly different position from what they had earlier adopted. But ahead of the meeting, intense lobbying as to which version of the proposed amendment should be adopted has begun in earnest, spiking the potential of the lawmakers taking a position dictated by the All Progressive Congress APC, which controls both chambers of NAS. Findings by Vanguard in Abuja revealed strong indications that the adoption of the Senate version of Section 60, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act, which provides for both electronic and manual transfer of election results, is being vigorously pursued by the ruling party. This was gathered is to align with what some argue was in line with the interest of the APC. It was gathered that the APC leadership appears more comfortable with the Senate version, which allows for some flexibility in electronic transmission of election results. The version includes a caveat that could potentially create loopholes, unlike the House version, which is seen as more rigid and potentially favor of the opposition. The Senate version removes the real-time requirement, allowing presiding officers to transmit results at their discretion, and designates manual form EC8A as the primary source in case of communication failure. In contrast, the House version mandates real-time electronic transmission, which civil society groups and opposition parties argue substantially reduces opportunities for manipulation, thus increasing transparency. Tension remains high along the Benue-Taraba border following the abduction of a businesswoman and 9 other passengers along the Takum-Tor-Donga-Katsina Road in Katsina-Ala local government area, LGA. The victims were reportedly kidnapped on February 9, 2026, around 10 a.m. at a settlement identified at Sede while traveling from Takum in Taraba State to Tordonga Market, a major commercial hub. Family sources identified the abducted woman as a grain leader, describing the incident as traumatic. In a related development, 9 worshippers abducted during a night vigil at St. John's Catholic Church, Ojije, Utonkon in Ado local government area, have regained their freedom following coordinated security operations. The victims, taken a week ago during a midnight prayer session, were released on Saturday evening unharmed. Confirming the release, the Benue State Police Command said the rescue resulted from joint operations involving the command and sister security agencies. According to DSP Udeme Edet, Police Public Relations Officer, 2 suspects, Abubakar Jibril and Ashiru Ibrahim, were arrested on February 11th in possession of 5 rounds of 7.62mm ammunition. Acting on further intelligence, security operatives recovered an AK-47 rifle, 8 rounds of ammunition, and arrested 2 additional key suspects on February 14.